Have you ever wondered why there aren't thousands of billionaires popping around after reading books about Steve Jobs? Hell, forget about thousands, there isn't even a single one, and if not a billionaire, but at least a millionaire. Even if we find one, he would already have had a small business before reading that book, so should he even be taken into account? Why do all these books, so thoroughly describing 7 principles of life, 5 main rules, 10 criteria of success, 20 points in the schedule of a true icon, remain merely a hopeless waste of time and money for the rest of us? After all, no one manages to repeat that success. The thing is that we consider only the surviving aircraft. It was during the Second World War when the Hungarian mathematician Abraham Wald, who worked in New York, was assigned an important task: to determine which areas of the plane required extra armor. Airplanes that returned to the airfield after the battle were shown to Wald, and it turned out that the distribution of damage was uneven. Most of the beating was taken by the wings, tail, and fuselage, but the engine and gas tank was damaged a lot less. The US Armed Forces raised the question, what areas of the aircraft should be strengthened so that more planes will survive? That's right, armor should be added to the most damaged parts. Isn't that obvious? That is what they wanted to do. But then Abraham put in his rational thought. We need to reinforce the most untouched areas because even aircraft return to the base even with shot wings. You can see it now, and the strengthening of these parts will not increase the chances of survival. But you can also see that there are no planes here with a destroyed gas tank or engine, and there is one simple reason for that: they crashed and could not show themselves to us. Now imagine that the greatest minds of the US Armed Forces made a mistake in the logic of their conclusions. What can we say about you and me, the ordinary people? Do we often make such mistakes in everyday life? It happens constantly. This is called survival bias. It occurs when a person uses an incomplete set of data when making decisions, focusing on what is presented to them here and now. The same thing happens with books about Steve Jobs. Yes, he made it. He turned out to be a surviving plane. But will we have a complete picture, even if we fully follow his principles, like a guide to action? That's unlikely because we do not take into account the time and place in which he lived, the people surrounding him, his family situation, and the mere factor of luck. Yes, not everyone is fortunate enough to end up in the right place at the right time. How many people couldn't reach the same heights after reading a book, but rather went bust and lost? Or, in other words, did not survive and never returned to the airfield? Unfortunately, these people aren't going to write books titled 10 Reasons for My Bankruptcy or make the movie called The Path to Ruin. Even the media do not publish articles on how to become unsuccessful. But this is exactly the information that is more useful. Because statistically, there are more ordinary people in the world than the likes of Steve Jobs. And to us, ordinary people wanting to survive and make it back to the airfield, the story about the mistakes of aircraft, similar to ours, is more important. And I'm not even talking about so-called coaches who not only pull the wool over their viewers' eyes, but also try to take advantage of the survival bias. It happens when 50,000 naive people take part in the coaching sessions throughout the country, and maybe 10 of them will succeed. The organizers act like informational gypsies wandering from city to city, showing the success story of a small group of survivors. At the same time, no one cares that the successful 10 has been doing something before that. But for some reason, they keep silent about the remaining 49,990. Well, don't speak ill of the dead. The most interesting thing is that survival bias follows people at every step. It is formed at the unconscious level, thanks to the media. You all know that dolphins, like humans, they help people that are drowning by pushing them towards the shore. But to make such a bold conclusion, one must always remember that dolphins are primarily wild mammals and, besides, predators. And the most important question is, how much data do we have about the people who weren't saved because of the dolphins? Unfortunately, they, like the downed planes, simply don't live to tell the tale. But on the other hand, if a couple of rescue stories are reported throughout the world, then rest assured that thousands of media outlets will incline us to believe this notorious survival bias. To hell with dolphins, there are a lot of families dominated by conservative thinking. All those words like, "I'm older and that means I'm right." You most likely have already encountered such families. In their speech, they use certain figures of speech, markers by which they can be recognized. My grandfather has been smoking since he was 15 and he is fine. At 80, he can walk a few kilometers without getting out of breath. And these people do not care about other cases where smoking can be the cause of death after 30. The World Health Organization states that smoking accounts for a good 16% of deaths in the European region. But that is just some organization. It is far away, its outlines are blurry, and perhaps it's all fake news. While my grandfather is here, next to me, so lively, real, and badass. One can spot the survival bias even in the financial world. Let's take a look at the US economy by using the S&P 500 index. The index reflects the state of the 500 most successful and largest companies in the market. In order for this index to continue to exist, the companies that are starting to collapse, i.e. their capitalization decreases and they no longer meet the criteria of the S&P 500 index, are simply excluded from the index. The losers are not remembered, but they should be. We have to blame our brain for this, which is constantly striving to optimize and save resources. That's how we are, and to make the right decisions, we need to push ourselves and always ask the question, do I have complete data to make a conclusion, or am I focusing on a small portion handed to me? Yes, I agree, it's easier said than done, but the knowledge of the survival bias will increase the likelihood of a successful solution. Smash that like, tell your friends about this video, and subscribe to our channel. That's it for today, and I'm Bony Right.